How can you work and homeschool? Is it even possible? Yes, it is. Let me tell you about it. Let's go. Welcome from Roots to Fruit as a Canadian Christian Orthodox homeschooling mother that also works. Many challenges arise. Come with me as I explore these issues, all of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's go on a journey together from roots to fruit. I often get asked how it is possible for someone to homeschool and work. Many people assume that it is not possible unless you have help, such as a parent helping out, or a nanny, or daycare, or something like that. And though it is challenging without help, it is possible. For us, we don't have much help. We don't have a nanny or send our kids to daycare, and getting help from our family is often more challenging than for us to just figure it out ourselves. Yet, we have made it work. Homeschooling while working is possible. In the homeschool community, there aren't very many of us that work, and so we are easily forgotten, sometimes outright ignored. Almost all of the meetups are done during the day while we're working. I have asked others if it was possible to have meetups later to include those of us that work, and it was declined since later in the day is time spent with dad. Once in a while you'll find a meetup after work hours, but it is rare. Some mothers that work in the evening or at night, so they're able to meet up during the day. Other mothers have a part-time job, so again they're able to make it. Either way, mothers that work are often excluded and conversations on the matter get quickly brushed off. Working mothers, in my opinion, are overlooked, not out of malice, but rather because their experiences are not well understood. And there are several reasons for that. One of the many reasons to homeschool is to spend time with family, including dad. So, for most homeschoolers, time with dad is in the evening after work. And if there are meetups in the evening, then we'll cut into dad time. Although I can appreciate this, I think that the solution would be to either involve dad or to hold monthly meetings rather than weekly ones. Another reason is that it can be overwhelming to schedule all those activities plus schoolwork, and another thing in the mix makes it more complicated. Additionally, I think that stay-at-home moms have a hard time relating to us working mothers, that we work out of necessity and that scheduling can be difficult. Another factor is that I think people these days are so busy that when they finally create a routine that works for them, it's a struggle to adapt to change. So what to do? Well, the first thing to remember is not to get discouraged by this. Myself and other mothers out there have made it work, and so can you. It just takes time and lots of trial and error. The next thing is to look at your work schedule. Is it set in stone? Can you change your hours to make things easier? And can you work around those hours? Next, to see what kind of support you have. For some moms, they have help. Others send their kids to daycare or an activity depending on their job. Also, would your husband help? Are there other family members that can help? For me, since there isn't much help, I ended up modifying my work hours so that I can get it all done. And when my husband gets home from work, he helps too. The other thing to consider is the age of your children. Can they perhaps do some work on their own? Are they old enough for chores and etc.? Then from that, plan out what a typical day is for your family. For us, I start work very early to get as much done as possible before the kids wake up. I help them get ready, plus breakfast. Then we sit down working all together. I am there to guide them and to answer any questions. My children, who are not old enough for school, just play. Since I start work early, I also end early. This gives me time to teach them new lessons, story time, playing time, etc. Later in the afternoon, it is free time for them. When I have meetings, the kids continue their work in another room. Some days are tough, and that's fine. In those cases, it ends up being free time all day. Sometimes you just need a break and reset the following day. Other times, the kids will watch something educational, and that's okay too. Remember that even though working while homeschooling can be a challenge with lots to juggle, it can be done. Another challenge that arises for working mothers is the relationship with the employer. It seems that many employers these days view the workplace as home and co-workers as family, which means that your real family becomes secondary to them, if they even care at all. In our modern world, it is almost expected that our co-workers replace our real families. Our employers are paying us to do a job, and we should respect that. We should be doing the work that we're paid to do. But just because someone is paying you to do a job doesn't mean they have the right to replace your family. Plus, this was never the case in the past. In the past, your family was always your family, and employers largely respected the family unit. They understood that people will get married one day and most likely have kids. The kids will become their world. They are working to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. There was a time when it was the norm for employers to have activities that centered around the families of the employee. They seemed to understand the healthy family unit made for a happy and more productive employee. These days, it is as though having a family is inconvenienced the employer. Fewer people are having kids, and to fill the void, their coworkers have become sort of a surrogate temporary family. So, what does this all have to do with homeschooling? Well, for one thing, society has changed so much that working while homeschooling is viewed as time theft, a violation of trust, and etc. Employers want a say in how you spend your time at work and out of work, regardless of the quality of work you do. Myself and others can produce the same or better quality of work while working from home, regardless if my family is present. Again, this is frowned down upon even if you don't homeschool. What makes this worse is that in the office there are way more distractions. People are constantly talking to you. There are games you have to play, social events, useless meetings, office politics, and etc. All of this takes more time away from my job than my family. Yet all of that is okay and expected. Mind you, you still have to produce the same amount of work with all those distractions, which means I have to work unpaid overtime. Furthermore, there have been many times that employers encourage workers to leave work early for work social events. But if you ask to leave a little early due to something family related, it is met with a resistance and a reluctance to accommodate you. To me, this is hypocritical and a sign of unhealthy society. I do want to be clear that I'm not promoting to do other tasks during work hours or to abuse your employer's time. If someone is paying you to do a job, you need to respect that. All I'm pointing out is that if the kids are beside you while working at home or your coworkers beside you at the office, then it should make no difference. Also, it is hypocritical for an employer to criticize an employee for having family beside them or to get up to deal with family while there are far more distractions in the office and far more people pulling you away from your work. Although there's a lot to juggle, working from home has been a great help. It not only gives me more time with the family, but also gives me more time for my work. For one, there's less distractions in politics than in the office. There's no travel time. Working from home saves me 2 to 4 hours a day that I can put towards the family. Also, you learn other tricks, like putting a roast in during lunch break, and you continue to work while the oven does its job. Giving the kids chores or tasks to help out with the house really helps too. Most homeschoolers will tell you that regardless if they work. And remember to be easy on yourself on those hard days. And yes, they do happen. Life isn't perfect and is filled with ups and downs. That is okay. This is how we learn. Maybe you just need to take a break for a day or more. Or maybe you need to revisit how you're doing things. If you can get help, then take it. Also, try to make sure that you and your husband are on the same page. I find this is a huge one. If you two are on the same page, then you will figure out the rest. But if you're not, then it will be more of an uphill battle. Lastly, if we see other women that need help, then help them. In the past, there was more of a community. Mothers were helping each other. We should try to get back to that. Perhaps in the near future, working mothers will be included in more groups. Perhaps it will be us working mothers who will start our own group in combination with the local groups. Hopefully in the future, families will not be looked down upon as much by their employers, but supported. Hopefully in the future, there will be more support and understanding for families homeschooling with two working parents, especially given the current economy. Let's try to create better communities. Thank you for your time. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your time. If you want to know more about me and my podcast, please visit me at my website for more information at fromrootstofruit.podbean.com. May you be blessed from roots to fruit.